Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So in this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and actually build a CRUD functionality for our API. So let me just go ahead and show you where we have reached so far. This is a part we have reached so far, and you're simply returning this hello world request to the front end whenever they make a request. So let me just show you how we can change this to not return JSON and other stuff, and make CRUD functionality like creating and saving the database and other functionality like that. So let's get started. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm in my directory here. So let me just do an ls, so you can see in my root directory. So I'm going to go npm run dev, and npm run dev is going to run the development server of our application. Once that the server is started, we can go ahead to the front end, and in the front end we can begin to make a request. So let's just wait for this to start up. It's a bit sluggish, but just be a bit patient. So now you can see that Node has already started our application. So our server is going to start on localhost at port 5000. So it's going to start on localhost at port 5000, and from there we can be able to make a request. And when we make a request, we're just going to get a simple hello world as in the code here. It's going to get a simple hello world as in the code. This is what we have done so far. So you can see the server is started and it's running on port 5000, and also our database connection has been established. So great. So if we go back to the front end, if I just refresh this page, we're simply going to get a simple hello world as expected. Yeah, so you can see we have the hello world right there. So if I zoom in, you can see we have that hello world right there. So great. So now that we have that hello world, we can also make a request using Postman, as I'm going to demonstrate to you just in a short while. But for now, let's modify our application to be able to return JSON. So first of all, the first thing we need to do is we need to add some middlewares in our app.js file. So we're going to add here, I'm going to call it middlewares. So the middlewares are going to be as follows. So we're going to say app.use, and then you're going to specify the middleware that you want to use. In this case, I want to use express.json. So express.json, and make sure that you call that it's a function. Then I also want to use a middleware a middleware of a URL encoded. So I'm going to say app.use, and I'm going to pass in express .url encoded, and make sure that I call that. And in here I'm going to pass in an object. I'm going to call it, it's going to extend it, and it's going to be false. We're going to assign false to that. So now that's all we need to set up our middleware. So now we can go back to our controllers. Instead of returning this, I'm just going to delete all of this. You can just say rest.json and then you can pass in a JSON object here. So you can say success, and you can say success of type true. Success is of type true. Then you can pass in the data, and the data can be maybe a dictionary, or I'm sorry, a list or something, and you can say hello world or something just like that, and then it will be the same. So just save this and make sure your development server is running. So you check and make sure that your server is running, and you see it's already running, and then you can go back to your browser and make a request. And if you make a request this time, what you're going to get back is gonna be a dictionary object. So you can just go, I have installed an application that formats this for me, but in your case you just get something similar to this. Okay, so if I just click on pass and raw, you can see that change. So you can see we get back success is true, and then the data is just simply hello world. So that's how you can return a JSON back to the front end. So great. So now that we have that set up, let's go ahead and actually begin to make a request to post our data to our backend models. Okay, so what you're going to do, you're simply going to go ahead and actually make a post model. So I'm going to just go ahead and delete this for now. Just going to delete this and delete all of this. So I'm going to go ahead and actually write the post model. So before we write the post model, I'll first want to import my database here, since you're going to be posting data to the database. So I'm going to say const, and I'm going to call it movie, and this is going to be it's going to be require, and require, what you're going to pass in here is going to be a string, and you're going to go back one. So you're going to go back to one. Okay, so what you're simply going to do is go back, and to go back one directory is just 2 dots and then /, and then you type the name of the folder, and then the file that you want to access. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just going to delete this, and then 2 directories / models, and then / is going to be, and then the file that you want to access. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just going to delete this, and then 2 directories / models, and then / is going to be movies. So just like that. So now that we have our model import model set up, I'm going to go ahead and actually write the functionality to post movies to our database. So I'm just going to keep a comment here, add movies to and just say database, just like this. What you're going to do is just enter a simple function cost, and then we call post movies. And what we're going to do is going to be in a sync function. We're going to use a sync function here. what you're going to pass in is going to pass in request, and then response. What you're going to pass in is going to be an arrow function, so an arrow function, and then sorry, this is an arrow function, and then what you're going to pass in here, you're going to simply console. So we're going to simply do console.log request.body. So I'm going to do console.log, and I'm going to pass in request.body to see whatever you have posted. So make sure that you have these two middlewares already imported, or else your application won't work. So make sure that you have these two middlewares already imported. So in our controllers, we're just going to log out that request, and you're going to simply response.send, and then you say data, just anything random, okay. So now that you have that set up, I'm going to now export this module. So I'm going to say module module.exports, going to be exports, and then it's going to be what you're going to export here is just basically these functions here. So they're going to simply set here, you're going to pass in a dictionary object. So you're going to pass in a dictionary object, and then sorry for that, going to pass in a dictionary object, and you're going to simply going to say post movies, just like that. So now that we have that, you can go back to our routes folder, and then go to movies.json. Instead of returning a hello world, you're going to return post movies, just like this, post movies. And then in here, you're just going to go ahead and actually copy that post movies and then render it here. So whenever you're going to post movie, so you're going to go to /add, you're going to go to post movies, and whenever data where you're going to post, it's going to log it into our data we're simply going to log it on the console. So let's go ahead and try to test this out. So to test this out, to make post requests, I'm going to be using Postman. So if you don't know what Postman is, it's just an application that we can interact with our API without having to create a front end like React, Angular, or it's like. So I'm just going to open up my Postman, and whenever I open up my Postman, it creates for you this. So I've created a simple route here, a collection, so you can click on this part, and then you can just click on create connection, and then you can create connection that way. I've already created a connection called Node.API, and then I'm going to have simply added a simple request here. So you can click here, and then you can add a simple request here. So I've already added a request here, and what the request that you're going to go to is going to be localhost at port 5000. So localhost at port 5000, and then /movies, and then /add. The reason we're saying /movies /add is because we in our routes you have specified add here. Let me just show you here. So in our controllers, so in our routes, we say /add. That's why you have to specify add within our URL here. So you can go to body, and then in body you can go to row, and then from row you can go to JSON, and then from here you can simply type in the data. So you can just say let's say person, let's just simply return a simple data, or let's say message, and then you can say this is string, so you can say hello world message, hello world, just like that, and then you can simply make a post request. So if you make a post request this way, this is going to send it to our backend. And let's see what it says, that movie cannot access movie. So let's check if you can't access movie. So let's see where it's going wrong. So this is /add. So let's go back to our API movies, and then this will be /add, and then it's going to send it to this post movies. So let me just make sure that I get the spelling here right. So post movies, and then in our Node.js, this is to be movies, so make sure I paste it there in case I don't make any typos. And then also here is movies, so we have exported that router, so everything should work. So and this is actually the reason why this is wrong is actually this is a post request, okay. So make sure that you change that to be a post rather than a get request. So right now that you have that, you can just go back to our API and then make that request one more time. And this is simply return to us data, because you have programmed it here to return data right here. So if I go back to my controllers here, simply returning data, that's why return data. But if I go back to my terminal, so let me just go back to my terminal, you can see we have the message here, and then this message, and then hello world, and this is exactly what we have sent to our front end here. So that's basically how you can send a data to the front end. Now let's actually send a movie data, and you're going to get data and get this data and save it to our database. So let's go back there. So instead of doing this, I'm simply going to remove all of this and then use a try and catch block. So I'm going to say try, and I'm going to get all the data that I want. So I'm going to get a movie, I'm going to get the movie.name. So where I'm getting these values from, this movie.name is from our database right here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my controllers, and then this is going to be request.body, and then I'm going to get all the other. So this will be const, this will be release underscore date, and the release date is going to be require.body, and then you're going to get all the other fields that we want. So const, and this is going to be a dictionary, so sorry, a director. So the director is going to be request.body, just like that, body, and then you're going to have const, this will be cast. So the cast is going to be request.body, so this will be request.body, and then passing that body, and then this other field that you're going to get is going to be called the watch. So it's going to be watch, actually get the spelling right. So this is going to be watch from, and this watch from is going to be request.body. Okay, just like that, body. So the body request is what is going to contain our JSON request. So we're going to get, we are filtering it and getting all these fields, because all this data, all this key value pairs will be provided in the body tag. So we're going to get the keys, providing the keys in order to get the values from that data, and you're going to store it in here in these variables. So now that we have that, what we're going to do is we're going to create so we're going to call it movie, and then this is going to be a new movie object. So it's going to be new, so it's going to be new, and then you're going to pass in movie, just like that, and you're going to pass in the object here. So you're going to pass in the name, it's going to type name, you're going to pass in the release underscore date, and this is going to be the release underscore date, and then you're going to pass in the director, and the director is going to be the director that you are going to get from the front end. So it can be director object variable, and then you're going to pass cast, and this is going to be of type cast, and then you're going to pass in the watch underscore from, and this is going to be watch underscore from, just like that. So you're going to create that object. Now that you have created that, you're going to go ahead and simply add it to our database. What we're going to do in here, you're going to say const, and then you're going to say save movie, and then this is going to be, we're going to await this process. That's the reason why we have used an async function right here. So we're going to await this, and I'm going to say new movie, and then you're going to say new movie.save. So I'm going to say new movie.save. Okay, I made a typo here, so this is actually supposed to be new movie, so I'm going to paste that there. So new movie.save, just like that. You're going to save that to our database, okay, MongoDB database, and you're going to send a so we're going to send, now after saving that, you're going to send a response to the front end. Is going to be status. This is how you're providing the status. Here you can see the status is going to be a 200 status to show that everything was okay, or we can pass in a 201 to show that it has been created. Okay, 201, I believe 201 is for create. In case I'm wrong, so guys you can correct me in the comment section. So I'm going to say JSON, you're going to pass in success, and then success is going to be of type true, and then you're going to pass in the data, and the data is going to be save movies. It's going to be saved movies. Okay, saved movie, and I'm going to call this also saved rather than just save movie. Okay, it's going to be saved movie, and the saved movie is going to be this part here. Okay, make sure I settle that error right there. So now that we have that, that's all we need for our movies to be saved in the database. So now that we have that, we can also go ahead and do a catch, and then we can catch the error, and then we can simply rest the status. Can provide in the status here. You can see the status is a 400 status or something, 404 something. I don't know about the statuses. You can just provide a 409. I think 409 is the best, I think, and then you can do dot send. Then you're going to simply send a JSON to this. So this is supposed to be a JSON, and the JSON takes in an object, and it's going to pass in success, and it's going to be of type false. And you're going to pass in data, and the data is going to be an empty field, and you're going to pass in an error, and the error is going to be, make sure you get the spelling of error right. This error is going to be just a normal error which you have just obtained from here. So I'm just going to add that right there to settle that. Okay, So that's all we need to return a response to the user whenever the user makes a post request. And then from taking this data, we can go ahead and save this data into our database. So make sure that you change this part. It's actually supposed to be a colon right there, a colon instead of a semicolon. So now that we have that there, we can now go ahead and actually try our post functionality and try to post our data into our database. So we're going to provide in the name, the release date, the director, the cast, and then the from. Okay, so I can just go ahead and actually copy this, and then I can go back to my Postman, and in Postman I can then make this request to this route here. So I'm just going to come in here, and then I'm going to change all of this. Instead of returning a simple hello world, sorry, my Postman is a bit slow, sorry for that. I'm going to now paste that data right here. So I'm going to do Ctrl+Z, and then I'm going to paste that information that I have copied. I'm going to paste it here, and then I'm going to fix that indentation, and then I will fix this just in a second. So this is going to be a string, so put that in a string. So the name, we can get the name of any movie that you want, the release date, the director, the cast, and then the other stuff. So I'm just going to put all of this into a string for now. Just put all of that into a string, and save the time for typing. So let me just bring back that, and then the watch from, and I'm going to put all of that into a string. And now I'm going to now provide this value. So I'm just going to go back to my front end. So I'm going to go back to my here, and then I'm going to use this website, and it's just a website of movies and the other stuff from 2021, the best movies from 2021. I just googled this and obtained it from there. So you can use a lot of data. The movie that is trending right now is Squid Game, but I don't think Squid Game is recorded in here, but it's also fine. You can feel free to record anything you want. So you can see this movie has the release date, the cast, and other stuff. So I'm just going to copy these random values. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to paste it there. So I'm going to go to my Postman, and then in Postman I can go and actually save this in Postman. So the cast, this is the cast. So I'm going to put this in form of a string. So put this in form of a string, and then I can just simply paste that in there. So make sure I remove this, and then to fix that error, and then I can go now. I'm going to get the watch from, so I'm going to go to my router, and then I'm going to go get the director. So this is the director. I'm going to simply copy this. So simply copy this, and then go back to my Postman. So go back to Postman, and then go to the director section, delete this, make a string, and then paste that in there. So I have done the wrong command. So I'm just going to go back here, and then copy this one more time. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to go back here, go back to my Postman rather, and then I'm simply going to paste that in there. And then we also have the let me fix that. Then you also check let's get the release date. So the release date, I'm simply going to get the release date is on June 5th, 2021. So go back to my Postman, and then the release date, I'm going to make this in form of a string, pass this a string, and then paste that over there. And then I'm simply going to pass this in form of a date. So this will be, so this is going to be 6th of 25th 2021, just like that. And then you can get down the name of that data of the movie itself, of the, well, let me see what's left. So we didn't pass in where to watch, so I'm just going to copy this, then we can pass that in there. So go back into my Postman, and then watch from, I'm going to pass this as a string, and then pass in the data right there. Now let's get the name of the movie. So the name of that movie was Fast and F9. So I'm just going to copy that, and then I'm going to go back to my Postman, and then paste that in there. So make this in form of a string, and then paste that there. So make sure that I fix the indentation here. Yeah, so this is the data, and then we can make this post this data to the back end, and then this can be saved to our database. So hopefully we didn't make any errors. So I'm just going to go to send, and if you already send it, you should save it to the MongoDB database, and then return a response to us. So just wait for this. You can see we got back that data back, so you can see it has been saved to our database, and that's how you can save the data to our database. So our post functionality works. So even if you want to check this, you can just go back to your Atlas database, Atlas or website here, and then you can just go back to databases, and with databases you can select the database that you have just created, and then you can actually check for that specific database. So you just click on your database, and then you go to browse connections, and then you click on browse connections, And if you click on browse connection, it's gonna bring you to this page, and then you can go back to this. You can see we have here this database, and then we have this collection right here. And if you click on that, you can see the movie has been saved to MongoDB. The movie details have been saved to MongoDB. You can see the name of the movie, the director, the cast, and then the watch from. So we have saved that successfully to our database. So that's how we can write a post function in Postman. In Express MongoDB in Node.js Express. So now that you have done that, let's write the get functionality to actually retrieve this data. So I'm just going to pass in a const, and it will be get movies. So one of these routes is going to get all the movies. So I'm going to pass in an async here, async, and then it's going to take in the res, and then the request, and then the response, and then it's going to simply pass in a simple arrow function, and this is going to simply going to do the following. So we're going to put a try and except block here. Okay, try and a catch block. I'm saying except because I come from a Python background. So movies, and then put movies. This is going to be going to await this process, and you're going to pass in our movie database, our movie, and then you're saying find. This is actually find, and then you just pass in nothing like that. You just find, and then you're going to get this is going to return to us all the movies, and it's going to store it in a variable called movies, and you're going to return a response. It's going to be having a status, and the status is going to be of 200 to indicate everything went well, and then you're going to get .json. You're going to get a JSON data, and you're going to pass in that JSON data. So you pass in an object here, and you say success, and then it's going to be success is going to be true, and then you're going to pass in the data, and the data is going to be movies, which you have just obtained from our database. So in case there is an error, we're going to catch that error, and then you're going to now return the error to the front end. So you can just do res.status, and you can pass in a 409. So 409, I think 409 is the best response in case it fails. So we're going to just do sorry, this is going to be a JSON again, so it'll be JSON, and then the pass in an object here, and then you're going to say success, and success is going to be false because it didn't actually get any data, and then say data is going to be an empty list, and then you're going to pass in an error field, and an error field is going to be error, just like that. So that's all we need to actually get all this data from the back end. So now we can even try this out in this. Now we need to actually register this route. So we need to just copy this, and then need to export this in here. So we need to export this, pass it in here, and then you need to go into your routes. In your routes, you need to import this from here. So you need to import this, and then your API, you need to say router.get, because it's a get method. So just go to /, and then it's going to return to you, it's going to pass in that get function. So we're going to simply save that, and then after saving that, we can go back to our API and make sure that our API is running. Yeah, it is running. So you can go back to Postman here. So you can create another route, another request, and you're going to pass in create a request, and you're going to call this request anything you want. And what this request is going to do is going to get request. So get movies, just like that. So I'm going to pass in get movies, and this is going to, what this is going to do is going to return to us all the movies. So I'm going to now save this in here. So I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to go to here, and press on this, and then say get all movies. So you click on get all movies, and then you can now test this out. You can just say local, this will be local host at port 5000 / movie. So this is going to return to you all the movies from our backend database. So you just press send. So guys, you can see that I have pressed on send, and I get back all the data from our database. So this is the data that we want, and the data for the movies. Okay, so that's how you can simply make a simple get request, and using Postman, Express, and Node.js. So that's how you can simply make a post request to the server. Now what if you want to get only a specific movie rather than all movies? So what you're just simply going to do, you're going to be const, and we get movies, and then this is going to be an async get movie, this will be movie, and then this is going to be an async function. So an async function, and you're going to take in request and the response, and what you're going to do is you're going to pass in this as a function. So what you're going to do is simply going to do a const. I'm going to get movies, movie ID, and movie ID is going to be request dot params, so parameters params dot movie ID. So that's how to get the movie ID. Now I'm going to explain to you this just in more details just later on. So for now, let's try to do this. So what you're going to do is a const movie, and it's going to be equals to we're going to await this process. We're going to pass in movie dot this movie dot find, and you're going to pass in the an object, and then we're going to pass in the ID as the value, and as the key, and its value is going to be simply movie ID, just like that. And this is going to return to us the movie that you're going to get from the back end. And you're going to turn rest.status, and you're going to do a status dot we're going to pass in a status of a 200 to show that everything went well. And then you're going to do JSON, and in JSON you're going to pass in a simply passing an object. It's going to be success, and success is going to be of type true. And then you're going to pass in data, and the data is going to be the movie that you just obtained. So now that we have that, we can simply catch an error in case an error occurs. So we're going to catch that error, and you're simply going to return status, and you're going to pass in a 409. In a 409 you're going to now send the JSON. So .json, you're going to simply pass in an object, and you're going to say success. This is going to be false, it didn't go through. And then data is going to be an empty array, and then you're going to pass in that error that you just got. So the error is going to be error, just like that. So now that's how you can simply make to get a specific movie. So I'm going to just copy this and then export it right here, pass it in here. So I made an error here, so copy that and then pass it right here in here. And then you can go to routes. So in our routes you want to import that again, so we want to pass it in here also. And then you also want to pass in here, you can say router.get. you want to get a specific movie with a specific ID. Now this is how you do this is how you can do a request like that. So I'm just this is how you can do a request if you want a dynamic ID, dynamic field in the parameters or in the URL. So you can just do a colon, a colon like that, and then just pass in movie ID. And movie ID is what you're expecting here. Is what you're expecting here. That's why you have to have the same names for it. So you have to pass in here movie ID and get it like that. So if you get that ID, what are you going to do? You're going to execute this function that is going to get us a specific movie. So I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to go to my my Postman, and I can try out this in Postman. So in Postman I can just do movies and then / I can pass in the ID of this specific movie. So I can copy all of this ID, copy it and simply paste it in here, and then simply make a request. I'm going to get back only that specific ID. Now the return is going to be the same as previously because we have only one movie in our database. So now let's try to add another movie. Let's just for the sake of time, let's just change some details of this just to make something simpler. So I'm just going to post. I'm going to post for a while and then put in the data, and then I'll come back and make the post request. Yeah guys, welcome back. I have just updated that data field, but in this movie which I'm trying to use this movie here. I'm just bring that movie. I'm trying to use this movie here, and in this movie they didn't specify the cast, so I think I will just leave that to be null or something, or I can just leave it to be the default data set that it has, or just leave it to be null or something, just like that. And then we can go ahead and actually make that request, and then that should be posted to our database. So just go ahead and actually make a post request. This will make a post request to our backend, and it's going to grab the data from here and then going to save it into our database. So you can see the data has been saved into our database. So if I go back to movies and I try to make a specific movie request, if I didn't make only this movie request, it's going to return to me only this movie instead of all the movies. So if I can go ahead and delete all of this, delete the movie ID, and just make a normal request, it's going to return to me both movies. So you can see I have both movies here, but I can get only this specific movie by providing in the ID of that specific movie. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go to / and then paste that there, and if I make a request, I'm going to get only that specific movie back. So you can see I have only that specific movie back. So that's how you can make a get request using Express, Postman, and Node.js. So let's continue with our tutorial. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to actually write the update functionality for users to be able to update the movies that they have just submitted to the database. So what you're going to do is I'm simply going to keep it here. So I'm going to say I'm going to keep it here, and I'm going to just write update functionality, and then just store it in here. So I'm going to say update movie, just like that. So update movie on DB, just like that. And what you're going to do, we're going to have a function here, constant, and it's going to be update movie, just like that, and update movie movie, and this is going to be an async function. So async, this is going to take in a request and a rest, and then what it's going to do is simply going to pass in the parameters right here. You're going to pass in a function rather. So we're going to now get all this data from the database, and then from there we can be able to make the update request. So for you to be able to update a movie, first of all we'll need the ID. So let's get the ID from the user. This will be const, and this will be movie, and then ID is going to be request.params. So request.params.movie ID, and just like that. So we get the movie ID that way, and then we can go actually get the other parts of our data. It's going to be very similar to this. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to now paste it in here. So I'm going to paste it in here, and then make sure that I fix that indentation. So you can decide to put all of this inside of an if and try and except block, in order if you are not sure of if the user provide this or not. So you can put all of this inside of a try and except block, and that's totally fine, and it's even more secure than this. So I'm going to just keep it here, and then I'm simply going to do, I'm going to create a simple const, and this const is going to be movie, and what it's going to do is going to get this movie from our database. So it's going to be movie.update update 1, just like that. What you're going to pass in, you're going to pass in an object. You're going to pass in the ID, and this will be movie ID, and then that's all. You're going to pass in another object here, and this object is going to have a value of type $, and then set, and this is going to be taking an object. So it's going to be an object again, so it's going to be a nested object, and you're going to provide in the movie details as we did up here. So I'm just going to copy all of this, then I'm going to pass it in here, and then simply hit save on that. So that's all we need. And then after that, what you can do is you can get the movie from the database, and what I'm going to do is you're going to call it const updated movie. So const, this is updated movie data, and this is going to be await. You're going to await this process. That's why you're using the async await function here. So going to await this process, I'm going to get movie dot find, and you're going to pass in that ID. Okay, so underscore ID is going to be movie ID. Okay, so what I'm going to do in here is simply, this is going to save the data to our back end. It's going to update the data, and now you're going to now get the movie with that specific data, and then return to the front end. So I'm going to rest.status, and I can even copy this from here instead of typing it out all over again, because it's just the same thing. So I'm going to copy it here and simply paste it in here, and this is going to be updated movie. So copy that and then simply paste it in here. Yeah, so that's how we can do that. And then in case any error occurs, we can catch the error. This way, and when we catch the error, we can just simply return an error response to the end user. So I'm going to copy this and simply paste it here. So great. So that's how we can simply create an update functionality. So let's go ahead and actually update a movie. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to export it. So I'm going to pass it here. So I'm going to pass it here as a update movie, and I'm going to my routes, and I'm also going to import it here. So import it here a bit. So import it here, and then I'm going to now add a function to be able to do that request. So going to be router dot is going to be a put request, and then it's going to /update. And then you also need we just set the put request, and we can take in the movie ID, just like that. Then what you're going to call this function whenever a person goes to that route. So whenever a person goes to makes a put request to this route by providing in the ID, we are going to call this function. What this function is going to do is going to grab that movie from the database, and then going to make that update request. So that's all we need to make that work. So now that we have that functionality set up, we can go ahead and actually go back to our database, and so our Postman, and try to make this request. So go back to Postman. So my Postman is this way, and now we can try to update a movie. So we can try to make a put request. So you can go ahead and actually make a route for put request. So let's go and then add a route, and you can get this will be update movie, just like that, and you save that. Then you can go to update movie. I can go to get route, and I can copy all of this, including the ID for this movie, and I can go to update here, and then I can paste it here. So I can make a post request here. I can make this actually a get request. So I can make a get request here. I can make a get request, and that return to me this movie. So I can copy this data, and then go ahead and try to make changes to this data. So I can copy this, and I'm going to go to body, and in my body I'm going to say it's going to be raw, and I'm going to put JSON right here. So I'm going to now make this bigger, and then in here I'm going to paste that request. So I'm going to paste that there, and then I'm going to fix that indentation. So now that we have that there, I can delete some things that I don't need. I don't need this v underscore v thing. I also don't need the ID of that specific movie, so I can just get rid of it. So I can just go here, and then I say hyphen updated data, just like that, and I can go ahead and actually make a post request. This will be a post request, and then sorry, it's gonna be a put request rather. So it'll be a put request, and I can actually go ahead and make a request that is going to submit this to the database. And we got back an error here. So let's see what the error is. It says that in JSON position 5. So we got an error here. Let me just try to see where that error is coming from. So we have the name, the release date, the updates, the cast, and then this information. So we don't need this comma right there. So that's the cause of the error. So let's make the post request right now. Get a post request, and actually it didn't return to us the ID. So let me try to see why that happened. So the cause of the error, I finally figured out what was causing the error. So the error was being caused by something very simple. This actually movie underscore movie capital ID, okay, capital I for the ID. So that's why the movie ID was being undefined, and that's why the data wasn't being updated. So now that I have figured out that out and I have solved that error, we can go back to Postman, and then we can now make another request again, try to submit our data. So I'm just going to make a post request with this ID field, and then I'm going to make a post request. I'll simply say movie. It was previously just called movie 9, sorry, F9, but now I've now added updated. So I'm just going to make a post request again, and hopefully our data gets updated this time soon. Yeah, you can see our data now gets updated, and if you look in the name section, it's now written updated. And if you come back here to our MongoDB Atlas platform, you can now check that this is going to now return movie updated. So now if you just load up this, you can see now here it has been updated. So yeah, that's how the update functionality works. Sorry for that error. It took me a while to figure it out. I didn't really know what was the error, because yeah, sorry for that. Now that we've done that, let's go back to the delete functionality. So delete, I'm going to call it delete movies, and what delete movie does is going to be a constant. It's going to be delete. It's going to call delete movie, and this is going to be an async function. So in async, and then it's going to be taking request and response, and then you're going to now pass in an arrow function to that. And what you're going to do, you're going to get movie const, will be const movie ID, and this is going to be called this is my request.params params dot, and then it's we make sure that this time we get it right, movie ID. Now that we have that, we can get go into a try and a catch block here. What you're going to do, you're going to await this process movie dot we're going to find remove. We're going to say remove, and what you're going to say in remove, you're going to simply pass in the ID. So it's going to be underscore ID, and the underscore is going to be movie ID. So now that you have passed that in, it's going to now delete that movie. What you're going to return to the user is simply going to be a simple response. And I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to paste it here, and then you can just say that this data will be let's say movie deleted. So just say movie deleted, and then that's all you're going to return to the user. So in case there's an error, we can just copy this part of the code and then paste it here, and then that will handle for us in case there is any error. So that's all we need, and for that to work. So now I'm going to go ahead and actually export this. So I'm going to bring it here, and then paste it here, and then I'm going to now go to my routes, and I'm also going to import it from here. So I'm going to put it here, and then import it from here. Now let me just solve this error, make it a bit cleaner. So I'm going to drop all this down, this down, and also this down, sorry, this down, and yeah, we can leave it like that. We can also drop this down also, so we can drop this down as well, and then we can indent this part inside. Okay, I hope that's a good sorry, this way, and then we can leave it like that. And then so we're going to now make a one for delete. So it's going to be router.delete. So let me delete, and then delete, you're going to pass in, it's going to take in the movie ID, and then you're going to pass in now that function of deleting the movie. So we're going to copy this function here, and then you're simply going to come up here, and then comma, and then paste that in there. So let's just do Ctrl Z, and then I'm going to paste that in there. So that's all we need for us for that thing to work. So we're just going to save this and make sure the names are the same, and we just save this. Okay, and then we can go back to our front end again, go to Postman, and in Postman we can delete this movie. So I'm going to get this ID of this movie. So this one is the one which I've just updated, which the name has the update functionality in it. So I'm going to create a new route. So I'm going to go to a new request rather, and this is going to be called delete movie. So just like that, and then on delete movie you can actually go into delete movie, and then you can pass in, this is going to be a delete request. So maybe localhost at port 5000/movies, and then I can pass in the movie ID that I have just copied. You can copy them any movie ID, and then you can simply make a request to this. This is going to delete the data and then return to us movie has already been deleted. And if I go to try to get all the movies, so if I go to get movies and I try to get all the movies, I'm only going to get back one specific movie. And if I go back to my Atlas platform and I try to get the movies, I'm only going to get back one specific movie instead of two. So you can see I have only one specific movie. So that, guys, that's how you can build a simple CRUD functionality in Node and Express, and also use Postman to test your API. So in the next tutorial I'm going to show you how to add a course to it, so cross origin request, so that you can be able to access your API from anywhere and use it in a React app or something like that. So guys, thanks for watching. See you in the next tutorial. Keep safe.